I want to share my personal story with you and how I was able to overcome lifelong depression, anxiety, and panic attacks after a particularly traumatic event. So the year was 2014. I had just turned 26. And at the time, I was living with my boyfriend of 3 years. And for the past year, up until this point, I had been experiencing severe anxiety and panic attacks. And while I'd had depression, while I'd had anxiety before, I hadn't had the level of panic attacks that I'd been experiencing. So at the time, I remember going to my doctor, and the doctor was telling me that, despite how I felt, despite that I felt that I was dying and going to have a heart attack, that I was actually a very healthy 26-year-old and I was totally fine. So I remember feeling like I was going completely crazy. And at the time I had many different things going on. So part of me had known that this relationship wasn't for me. So I knew that I needed to get out of this relationship, and I was worried. What would I do after this relationship? We were good friends. I didn't want to hurt this person. I also felt ashamed. I felt like I wasn't living the life that I was meant to live. I felt like I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to do. I was working at a job I didn't love. I was driving a minivan. My life was falling apart and I didn't know what to do about it. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I didn't want to be around family and friends because I was ashamed of the person I was being and how my life was unfolding. I would do more drugs. I would drink more. I wasn't going to the gym. And through all of this, the anxiety would just get worse, the depression would just get worse, and the panic attacks were just getting worse. And despite everything, all I felt was ashamed and like I was going crazy, and I felt alone. I felt horribly, horribly alone because not only could people relate to what I was going through, but people couldn't understand what I was going through, and it felt like nobody could help. So I recall this is one night in September. I was doing laundry and I was watching The Lion King. And I remember in that moment, there was the instance where Simba was, staring up at the clouds, and his father Mufasa came on, and that voice came and it said, remember who you are, Simba. You're more than the person you're being. And that really resonated with me. It struck home. And in that moment, it touched on something, because that familiar panic attack suddenly started to explode across my body. And I started to feel this familiar sensation rising up, where my heart was starting to pound, and the blood was rushing out of my head and into my hands, and I was feeling really hot. And I thought, oh my God, this is happening again, and there's nobody around to help me. And I remember thinking in that moment, maybe I should go to the doctor, maybe I should call somebody, maybe I should go to the hospital. And then I also remember thinking, the hospital just keeps sending me home and telling me I'm fine, and my family doesn't know how to help me either. So I'm alone and I need to deal with this on my own. And so I recall I'm climbing up the stairs, and I'm just dragging myself up the stairs. And at the top of the stairs is this bathroom. We were living in a townhouse at the time. There's this bathroom at the top of the stairs, and like 80s style yellow linoleum. I drag myself into the bathroom, and I am a mess. I'm terrified. I feel with every fiber of my being like, I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do about this. And I feel that fear in me. And I was trying to do everything I could to keep that down, to keep that fear at bay. And it was just coming closer and closer. And the moment it got really close, I remember thinking, and I remember praying. And I remember looking up kind of from where I was curled on the ground. And I remember looking up kind of to the heavens and saying, God, please help me. Please, like, I don't know what to do anymore. And it was this final cry for help. And in that moment, this incredible thing happened. In that moment, it's like I became separate from my body. Only I wasn't floating outside my body. I was just separate from my mind and the me that was going through this experience. And I remember it was like all of a sudden I was sitting in the audience. And it's like I was looking at myself on this stage. And I could see the me on the stage that was scared and terrified. And this self was crying, curled on the ground, really kind of, I looked at it like, like you'd see a coward kind of like huddling on the ground. They're terrified. And I could see also this giant black cloud that was approaching the me that was huddled in the corner. And I remember looking at this. And I was looking at this event that was happening on stage. And I was looking at the me that I had been playing on the stage of my life. And looking at how I was reacting to this foe or this enemy that was coming at me saying, you're never going to make it. You're not enough. You're not good enough. What if you can't? What if people don't love you? What if you never find out what you're meant for in life? And this cloud is coming at me and it's coming closer and closer and closer. And I remember looking at this and I'm thinking in this exact moment, why is she cowering like that? That's not me. That's not who I am. And I knew that from watching this, that that's not me. That's not who I am. And I remember thinking, maybe I can't control whether or not I die. I have no power over that. That's outside my control. But I can control how I feel. I can control whether or not I'm going to feel afraid. And in that moment, it's like I was ricocheted back into my body, back into this experience. And I'm lying on the ground, only this time I'm facing this shadow and I'm facing this fear. And I remember thinking in that moment, it felt like I stood up. And I embraced my power. And I looked at this shadow. And I said, bring it on. You don't scare me anymore. And in that moment, it felt like this fear like just pushed into me, just hit my body. And I remember feeling everything in my body is just vibrating like I'd been punched in the gut. And all my cells were just on high alert. And I remember thinking, I'm dying. And in a way, I did die. But not how I thought. So this is happening. This energy is vibrating through my body. And as it's vibrating and I'm thinking I'm dying, all of a sudden I notice this energy, it's dissipating. This energy is going away. And it's getting lighter. Wow. This is amazing. I remember thinking like, wow, who am I right now? What's going on? My body feels so much lighter. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I can see things with such clarity. All of a sudden I can see the thoughts that I had. And I can see all these thoughts and they're the thoughts that I'd had, and it was like they're thoughts that were just falling from the ceiling, or marionettes without strings. And some of those thoughts were, what if you're not good enough? What if you get out of this relationship and there's nothing else for you? What if you can never reach your dreams? So there was thoughts from my fear. And then there's also thoughts from my truth. You're not meant to be in this relationship. You're not being the person you're meant to be. And I could see these falling from the sky. And before, I wasn't able to see these thoughts because there was so much fear surrounding them. And now that this fear was gone, it's like the mirror shattered. And all of the sudden, I could see with crystal clear clarity. I knew who I was. I knew why I was here. And I knew my truth. And I knew that I was never going to let fear rule my life ever again. I realized in that moment that our brains are programmed for fear. This is a survival mechanism. The animals have it, we have it. This is how we live in the world. Since then, it's been my mission to discover if other people have been through this similar experience and have gotten similar results. What I found is 100% yes. This experience has completely eliminated anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. And I've not experienced them in the 8 years since. I've followed other success stories and found that they are having the exact same results. Since then, I developed a powerful program that teaches people how to become aware of their fears in their mind and how to rewire their brain with better thoughts, habits, and emotions so they can reconnect with their authentic self and get crystal clear on what it is they want in life so they can manifest their purpose and become the person that they were meant to be beyond their fear. If you're interested in my powerful program, I offer a complimentary clarity call with anyone who's interested in discovering what fear blocks they might have, how to become aware of them in their lives, and who want to experience the power of an NLP matrix therapy that I do that helps eliminate these fear blocks so that you can start to experience shifts in your life and you can start to gain clarity on who you are and what you want, so that anxiety, that depression, those panic attacks can go away. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I look forward to hearing yours as well. If you would like to discover more about the Break Free from Fear program so you can heal from your past trauma and manifest an aligned future, you can book a clarity call with me now by responding to this email or emailing me at admin@coachcarissa.com. Or you can go to www.coachcarissa.com to learn more.